Welcome back to my channel. This week, the country that invented Pokemon cards started talking about regulating them. Not a court case, not corporate policy, Japan's own government. A new caucus just met to discuss counterfeiting, scalping, and money laundering in a market that hit over $2 billion in the last year. And buried within the article is a reference that the cards, although they're Japanese, the prices are largely set by an American company. Welcome back to the Poke Ticker. Let's see what the market's telling us. This is an article from the Japan Times that just came out in the last week. Japan is weighing the regulation of Pokemon cards amid the mania that's going on in the country. They're no longer simply consumer products, according to the ruling party. The market's rapid expansion and growing asset value of trading cards have given rise to problems that cannot be ignored. The domestic market value grew 90% to 2.1 billion in 4 years, up to in 2025, I guess is their latest data. And that reference I just made, the group heard that card values are largely determined by a US company, despite the Japanese origins of the likes of Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! So this isn't just a Pokemon thing, but a TCG thing. And just based on that little comment alone, I don't want you to think that's just a throwaway comment. That could lead to changes in the future in America and other countries as well. Governments typically like to get their money's worth. And because of that, I just want you all to be aware that this is something happening. Even though it's in Japan right now, I would anticipate something coming to America, maybe in the near future, if this turns into real regulations and a way for their government to make some money on the Pokemon card market and the secondary markets. This article just goes into a little bit more detail here about the regulation they're considering. They go over some of the numbers. This one even quotes up to 2.3 billion in the fiscal year 2025. And the massive growth in the popularity has led to growing problems. Counterfeit cards, scalpers, money laundering is called out. And as a way to try to combat some of those things, we've all heard Japan is sniffing off the corners of packs. You got to pass quizzes. They're cutting the plastic wrap off the outside of the booster boxes, opening the booster boxes. That we all know about the system in place, lottery system. So just a lot of things that they've done, and I guess it hasn't been doing enough to satisfy what the government is seeing as problems. With this task force, they're going to try to tackle these problems, which they've seen have become too big. They call out, Logan Paul's graded illustrator for 16.4, a heist here where 95,000 in Pokemon cards was stolen, as well as the if you heard the South Korean event that got canceled after 40,000 people showed up, and it kind of became a crazy situation. All these things have led to them to consider what to do next, as well as the hefty resale prices. Governments typically want to get their piece of a market. They don't like it when people are making money and they're not getting their percentage. PokeBeach, in the same vein, is calling out a article here that just came out. Japan's official Pokemon card stores, so not the Pokemon centers themselves, but card stores are going to require facial recognition for entry. This is kind of a crazy thing, but grocery stores here in the US already do this, where they track you throughout the store to adjust prices based on what you like and what you buy and what you're willing to pay. And so this is something that they're trying out. This system will verify customers, and each customer will receive one ticket. If it detects the same person has attempted to receive multiple tickets or enter the store more than once in a day, they will be denied entry. So you can see here the 5 TCG stores they're going to try to combat. The newer rule is going to apply here in the next week through the 16th of August at 5 of their pop-up Pokemon stores in Japan. These are, like I said, smaller trading card focused outlets separate from the Pokemon Center stores themselves. Pokemon Company is stating the goal is for fair access, which I would argue they haven't done enough in a lot of ways, at least here in America and for the English side of the hobby, to discourage the scalping, that's for sure. Obviously, they don't want to completely squash that because it has everything to do with keeping the hype in the market and everything that's going on. But, they really need to do a better job of making it fair so kids can get in, common collectors, and it's not just people buying and reselling on the secondary market. So privacy concerns obviously are coming from this. People generally don't like being tracked, even though all of us are with our phones and all that kind of stuff. But this obviously is following the bigger shift in retail and how Pokemon cards are now just a big business. It's not just a childhood hobby. I've quoted this number before, but the value is up to 14 billion in 2026. Pokemon Company remains one of the largest TCG industry participants. They're hoping that this will help prevent not just the scalpers, but prevent crime at card stores in Japan. They've introduced this new measure. Again, here's the post from in Japan. I obviously can't read that, but they're actually going to be using government ID cards to help identify you as well. So the government ID will have to match the facial recognition. And then this was a nice quote from them. At Pokemon card stores, in order to provide a safe and secure shopping environment for all customers, to prevent crime, and to ensure compliance with appropriate entry and purchase rules, we will be using a facial recognition system to verify the identity of customers aged elementary school age and older when they enter the Pokemon store and receive their numbered tickets. To ensure compliance with our entry rules, if we observe multiple attempts to enter the store, our staff may speak to you individually. So it's not just adults that they're going to do this to, they're going to do elementary school aged kids. Hopefully this helps. If you do collect Japanese cards, I collect some. You've noticed a large uptick recently in the price and the cost of them, including the newest sets and booster boxes coming over, have started to get more expensive than they have been in the past. Definitely something to keep an eye on. And then one thing I wanted to call out here too at the end is this has something that's gone around the hobby, not just in Japan, but in China. I know a couple things have gone around, some Reddits and online posts and things of that nature, but the organized crime kind of getting into this. So this calls out a anonymous member who says shady money can be deposited in a bank, and there's a high risk of it being stolen if you hold it in cash, but Pokemon cards are an easy way to hide the cash and then take them overseas and then trade them for cash overseas. A lot harder to track down, and supposedly this has been something that's going on. This is just one article about this reference, but this is something that supposedly has been happening in China too, which is why some of the Chinese exclusive cards have gotten really big, is people can put their money in the Pokemon card, take it out of the country, and then trade it from other currencies outside of China. All these things are just so you know what's happening, even though this is in Japan, not in America right now. When other countries, especially the home country who invented it, start considering regulation and getting the government involved, that typically will spread to the other countries who are heavily involved in this. And obviously, America would probably be number 1 or 2 on that list with Japan. And while I don't think anything will happen immediately, the government will probably start looking at this. They know of all the money changing hands at card shows and convention centers and the amount of cash on hand. And similar to what's happening in college athletics, I would say, they don't like when they don't get their percent. Just know that this is happening in Japan right now. They're considering the regulation, and that regulation may, in the future, the near future, start coming to the US. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.